Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar session, ACC and Home Inspector Pro, Adding Value to Home Inspectors. We are ready to dive right in, so let's do just that. Quickly, just a review of what we're going to go over today. First, we'll start by highlighting what makes you, the home inspector, such a special, rare breed. There are a lot of things to mention when we talk about home inspectors and what makes them unique. And it kind of sets the stage for the value that ACC and Home Inspector Pro add to you. We'll introduce ACC first and go over the key ways that ACC puts money in the pocket of home inspectors. And then we'll turn the conversation to Home Inspector Pro and how they do the same and how they make life easier for you guys. We'll gloss over the ACC Scout bonus bit today, and there will be no live Q&A on this session, but we hope you enjoy. So before we dive in, I'd like to introduce today's speakers, Aaron Ziomek, General Manager of America's Call Center, and Dan McConnon, Operations Manager of Home Inspector Pro. Thank you guys both so much for being here. And with that said, I am going to pass it over to Aaron and go silent. Aaron, it's all you.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Ryan. And thanks to everyone for tuning in today. We hope you find value in this. I know between myself and Dan, there's a lot of conversations that happen behind the scenes to get us to this point and really be able to share something that we feel is meaningful and impactful to your home inspection business. So again, my name's Aaron Ziomek. I'm the GM of America's Call Center, and I'm here partnering with Dan from HIP, and he is going to do probably a more formal introduction here in a little bit. But our goal here today is to really provide some insight and guidance on what we see running a service business, and on the HIP side, a software business that solely supports home inspectors. We have this really broad view across the country of what works, what doesn't, what are the winning points that people take advantage of, and where are some of the opportunities. And so we hope to give you all a little bit of that, and then how you can amplify those benefits with partnerships with HIP and ACC, and how HIP and ACC have a partnership that's to the advantage of home inspectors. So going on, home inspectors, most, if not all of you and those out watching the replay, you're business owners. You have that entrepreneurial spirit. There's all these things that come with that, multiple hats, if you will, from sales, marketing, accounting, operations, doing the inspection, administration. I mean, the list goes on and on. And it's no small feat to run any business, let alone a home inspection business where you might be the business owner, operator, but then also delivering the service and the product, which is the home inspection. And so you have a very particular DNA. And that DNA, like I said, is very much based around being an entrepreneur, a risk taker, a trailblazer, very independent. Not to say you can't have support, whether that's a spouse or family member or a great team behind you. But more often than not, you dove in head first to start this journey of owning your home inspection business and growing it. You're usually the money maker, the one that pays the bills and makes sure the mortgage gets paid and food gets put on the table. A lot of times you're the do-it-all. I mean, like I just mentioned, you wear those multiple hats, and most of those type of individuals usually let the stress of running that type of business and that DNA to be a motivator, right? Like getting the pressure point that causes me to push harder and go forward and figure it out and work through things. And the mindset is, if I work harder than the next, then I'll outperform and outachieve. And there's some truth to that, but there's also some falsehoods to that. And we'll dive into it a little bit. And then many of you sacrifice a lot for the greater good of the business. It's that investment. It's that lifelong investment that if I give up this in the current, it will pay dividends down the road. And again, another piece of running a business that is very true, but also can be very false. And again, we'll touch a little bit on that as well. So like I said, there's some pitfalls to that DNA. And one of them is, if you're the business leader, the business owner, and you're the inspector, you're now a very limited resource, regardless of market conditions. A good market, a down market, a stagnant market, You only have so much of your time and resource to give into the business. And when you start to divide that up across all the other things you have to do to run the business, plus all the things you have to do outside the business, family, friends, hobbies, just getting caught up on eating dinner and some sleep maybe from time to time, it becomes very apparent that you can't do it all. And there's things that you can put back into your business to drive efficiency and really set yourself up for better growth and better future return on that time investment. One of those solutions that I'm very proud of and advocate for is ACC. We're a fully integrated customer service and call handling solution. Obviously, ACC stands for America's Call Center. Ideally, we call ourselves America's Communications Center because we do more than just calls. I mean, we're taking inbound calls from your clients, from your real estate agents, from yourself. We're making outbound calls. We do text, we do chat, we do email. So there's many avenues and platforms that we take on behalf of the inspectors that utilize us. But the main point of our solution is alleviating the resource that you are limited by, which is your time, of the things that don't maximize your time and value and revenue opportunity. Give those to ACC so that you can then go deliver kind of the higher worth spend points for what you have to do in running a home inspection business. And so a lot of that comes to making sure that we're very specific in the things that ACC should handle for you and the things that you should be doing or you should be handling. It's very simple to say, obviously, doing the home inspections, number one. That's where you're most productive from a revenue standpoint, where you make the most amount of money for the hours spent. But some of the things that aren't really as a higher value is something that ACC can really take off your plate. And one of the benefits of ACC, and when I hand it over to Dan, he'll really dive into this value proposition, is we partner with the systems and solutions that you already use. And HIP Office is one of those. And we're very proud of that integration and that work that's been done behind the scenes for, I don't know, Dan, probably about 2.5-ish years, give or take. I think at this point, for the integration between HIP and ACC, and all that work on our end was done to support those home inspectors. So to differentiate America's Call Center or ACC, what's different about us, right? You hear these generic industry agnostic virtual office solutions, just a general call center. A lot of times they lack industry expertise, right? They're not agnostic to specific home inspector type business. They're not tailored to that type of support. It's generic communication. Maybe it's just picking up the phone. They can't actually do a booking or answer questions, or go look into your calendar and HIP and see your pricing and see your rules and see your kind of notes and account for that in the conversation with the customer. And oftentimes it's no ability to upsell. It's just get the call so it doesn't, go nowhere, and then take down a message and pass it on. And is that really effective? We don't think so, which is why ACC for the better part of 23 years has been doing a lot more than just that general standard call center experience for home inspectors. So for us, we exclusively serve the home inspection industry. Like I said, over 23 years, it's 25 at this point. It'll be 26 in January of 2025. There's real people on the end of the phone. You're typically, outside of after hours where you might go to voicemail, your ACC team is a human being here. Most of us are in the Kansas City, Missouri side of things. So you have a lot of Chiefs fans, whether better or worse, on your ACC team. And most of them, for our tenure is, I think, a little over 5.5 years of being in ACC and supporting home inspectors. And there's a lot of knowledge gained with that amount of time in seat that benefits our customers and makes sure that we do a really good job of taking the burden of managing all that communication flow and appointment booking and upselling off of your plate so that you can go focus on the business and deliver, success long-term for yourself. And so one of the ways that we do that, I'm going to give 4, is selling and booking inspections. We take the call, we take the email, we take the text, we take the chat. We basically are able to act as if we're in your home office, attached to your HIP, to make sure that person calling in and inquiring about an inspection feels taken care of and has that hometown feel, if you will. And at any point, we never want the customer to feel like they're calling a call center. We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but one of our credos is to just make sure that that's a great customer journey, regardless of where that call comes in or where that new home buyer or real estate agent may be living. And so, if you think about the amount of time that you have throughout a week to pick up calls, respond to emails, chat, texts, ACC, is there to kind of offload that. So we offer over 70 hours a week of call coverage. Again, over 25 years in the industry. Try to eliminate 99% of those missed calls. We have live hours during our standard hours, never goes to voicemail. And then, the key thing here is when you miss that call, more often than not, and you can look up the research, there's some good Salesforce data out there, that customer's already moved on and maybe calling someone else 85% of the time. They're not going to try to reach back out. So it's really important to capture those moments when they come in and then deliver a great selling and booking experience when those calls come in, because you miss all the shots you don't take. And if you're not answering that phone, even if it's just a couple minutes later, you might have missed teeing up an appointment and filling up your calendar a little more. And ACC can help eliminate some of that. So again, we can do all the appointment booking. We can do the follow-up, logistics support from gaining access to third-party coordination if that's something you have, and we highly recommend you set those up. Office services, just from marketing to managing notes and pricing. And then again, one of the bigger things and why we're hosting this here today is seamless integration with the business management software of your choice, whether that's ISN or Home Inspector Pro, which we'll be talking about today. We're able to drive pretty strong efficiency from the booking experience to what you need to see within your platform like Home Inspector Pro to go complete the inspection, have all the details, and then maximize the amount of dollars you're getting for doing that work. And it's something I'm very proud of, and I know Dan will talk about it as well, that integration between ACC systems and HIP systems allows us to provide that best-in-class customer experience, not just for you, the home inspection business owner, but your customers that we're representing on your behalf, and make sure that that's a great experience as well. Number 2 is upselling. So all that experience, all the training that we put in, and our understanding that we don't get paid if you don't get paid based on how our billing works. We only charge when you book a home inspection and that home inspection completes. So if we schedule it, it goes over to HIP. You go out, you complete the inspection, you complete all the work in HIP, you send the report, you've made your money, and now ACC is going to charge our fee for that. And so we think that's a great way to approach it. And the reason that matters is we have a direct connection to closing those appointments and doing our best to maximize the value of those appointments that you're going to go complete. And so we really lean on that upselling, especially when you have packages and programs, all things that you can set up or may have set up in HIP. We can just copy those right over and they sync flawlessly so that your team knows, hey, let's get as many people on the silver package or the platinum package, or I really want to upsell this radon add-on because it adds X amount of dollars and I can do a lot of that work while I'm on site doing the home inspection. And that's how you can start to grow that average ticket price with ACC and HIP, kind of running the show behind the scenes, if you will, allowing you just to go market your business and complete inspections. And that's where you are going to maximize your dollars. Again, ancillary services, adding that extra value. We have a very in-depth onboarding process within ACC, and we coordinate on your behalf with our partners like Dan and the team under him at HIP to make sure we're all ticking and tying how we need to represent your business to your customers and to your clients. The number 3 item that I'll say is competitive research. So with ACC, when you're in HIP, we can see your pricing, all that's working, great, perfect. But how do you know if you have the right pricing? And so one of the things that ACC can do is go out and say, hey, let's go ping the market in your area. Let's go pull some data from our expansive, aggregate of inspection fees and what's working and what's not, and provide that feedback to you so that you can make operational, sales, and marketing decisions to increase prices, maybe expand your coverage area because a new development just, popped up and there's 400 homes over here that, we're outside of your coverage area, but it would only add 5 minutes to driving. And so maybe now it's worth to drive there. And we adjust your coverage map to make sure we're not missing those opportunities. Provide those geographic insights. If maybe you're covering multiple cities or suburbs, which ones are you making the most impact in? Where are you having the most amount of business come from? And so you can adjust your strategy in your business to do that. And then price comparing up to 5 of your competitors, assuming they're not an ACC customer. We have a clear line, rules of engagement there. So we will go out though, however, and secret shop up to 5 competitors on your behalf if you utilize ACC to make sure that you're aligned to market pricing with the value you bring to your customers, your experience, and your end product, which is that inspection report and how it compares to maybe those other home inspectors within your area. And last but not least is number 4, strategic partnering. We want to be a true extension of your inspection business. I know it's in the name, America's Call Center, but we don't want to be a call center. We want to be, someone that you lean on when you need us because you're busy, or when you need us because you need to be busy. And we do a multitude of things to help our inspectors, really level up their business. It's easy to do, appointments when the market's booming and you're in the busy season, but it really matters the most in that strategic partnership in the slower seasons, or when you're dealing with maybe some change in coverage and competition. How can ACC help you face those headwinds directly and, make the most out of the situation to make sure you're successful in running that business and you're maximizing on the operation of the business and the profitability of the business. And so there's a multitude of things from agent engagement. I would even argue, the price shopping is one of the strategic partnership items that we do. Coordinating on your behalf with HIP to say, hey, we want to adjust this pricing or these packaging, what's included in a certain package or a bundle here because we're seeing more success. And so ACC can take all of that off of your plate. It becomes our burden that we hold in high regard, and we go execute on your behalf to make sure that we're more than just someone who's picking up the phone or responding to an email. And that's very important to your ACC team when you sign up, is that you lean on them when you need us. And we try to be proactive with pulling things away from you so that you can go do what you maximize on your dollars, which is doing home inspections and keeping that calendar full and busy. Again, we have that direct integration with HIP. And it's something that, Dan will touch on as well. But, one of the reasons we started to even work on this partnership was the alignment of our two companies' goals, which is make home inspectors be able to operate their business successfully, easily, and profitably, and provide the best-in-class product, out there in the marketplace. And I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight that even before this partnership, Dan and Dominic as well, we've always had a really strong and helpful and partner-based relationship with the goal of always supporting the inspector, and I think that really holds true. It did back then before the integration was alive. And then now even more so, I'd say it's pretty solidified and concrete that is our ultimate goal, is to make it really easy for inspectors to choose to partner with not just HIP Office, but also ACC, and not add complexity to your business for that integration, but essentially remove it and allow you to continue to, take that entrepreneurial spirit and drive your business forward. I'm going to skip this one. I've kind of talked a bit. I really want to hand it off to Dan here because, again, on behalf of ACC, none of this works if the solution the inspector uses to actually manage the business doesn't work. And you can't find a better one than HIP Office. So, Dan, thank you for letting me talk for so long while you sat there and nodded and agreed with most of the things I've said, I'm sure. But let me hand it over to you so you can talk about why Home Inspector Pro HIP, and your thoughts and perspectives on this relationship and what it means for our home inspection customers.
Thanks, Aaron. So I'm Dan McConnon. I'm the operations manager for Home Inspector Pro. And Home Inspector Pro has been around for, this is our 20th year. And we've been part of the inspection industry for that entire process. Like Aaron said, is we're dedicated to just the inspection industry. One of the things that sets us apart actually is none of us are inspectors. We've always been developers just working for the goal of enhancing the process of inspectors, because you are the professionals. You know the process that it takes to do your inspections. And our goal is to facilitate how you collect your information, how you generate your reports, and how you get that out to customers. One of the benefits, we've always worked with ACC from when we started. They've been always a partner for guidance in working in the industry, because they were here before we were. So, and especially the founders of ACC gave us a lot of insight into how that industry works, because it's an older industry that's come from paper and carbons and pencils to now it's all technology. And that's been a transition that's been in place. So we've been key to that. That's been our goal, is because we want to get guys being more efficient, spending less time on inspections, and actually work with building their businesses. Because in the end, that's what you're doing, is you're networking, communicating with customers, and then getting the product that they need to make their home buying process the most effective and make the most of the investment that they're making. I've been around for 14 years. It's been a learning curve for me, but it's been really interesting to learn this industry, work with people like Aaron and others in the industry to see how this industry operates, because we want to encourage the best reports that can be created. And ACC has been a big part of that, is because, as it was in a previous slide, is we basically fit into the tool chain of how you do your inspections. ACC answers the phone, they collect the information, we take that information, bring that into Home Inspector Pro. So you're informed when you're on site, dealing with the customers, you know all the details about the process, how you can upsell to make the most benefit for your customers so that they can get the most value, but also get the most information as part of their inspection. You do your inspection, and then you are able to push that out the door and then do follow-up to make sure that the customers are 100% satisfied with that process. A big part of that is Home Inspector Pro. Our software is template-based, so you're able to cut down on the amount of redundant information that you're entering in. You have a consistent structure of your reports, so you or your inspectors are able to go through and just pick out the things that are issues. One of those issues is also collecting the information using the HIP mobile, which allows you to collect all of the information in the field using your mobile device. You can use one or many devices. If you have multiple inspectors, they can all work collaboratively on the same inspection live as it's going through. And one of the things that we added in the recent years was the ability for clients to actually follow along live during the inspection, just to see the photos and the basic information, so that they're informed when they actually get that review of the information at the end of the inspection. We hear that a lot from inspectors, that their clients are often overwhelmed because there's just a flood of information at the end. We want to make the customers more informed so that they can ask the most informed questions to get their questions answered, so they're confident in their inspection. And so we keep adding new features. We're working on updates right now that add a bunch of new features to help that process, to make things more reliable, more stable. So you're worrying less about the technology and more about getting the inspection done in the field. So, and that's something that we work continually based on the input we get from inspectors. That's primarily where our development comes from, is what we hear from inspectors, what they're asking for. And sometimes it's just as vague of just, how can I streamline this process to spend less time head down and more time talking to the customer and informing them. And we work to develop solutions for that. The other part of that is the HIP office, which is our inspection management system. That's where the actual information for your customer, the inspection, the report, and the delivery of that information, including a complete accountable log of what happens during the inspection, interfaces with ACC. ACC system talks directly to that system, so they're entering all the information, and that automatically translates down to Home Inspector Pro, or in the HIP office. One of the benefits that Aaron mentioned before is the benefits of working with ACC versus a generic industry agnostic virtual assistant. Their staff, you don't have to train. They don't have to worry about the different platforms, or if there's changes to our platform or to any other one. ACC works in their system, and those systems talk directly to each other. So there's no worry about having to train this other staff if changes happen out of your control. Everything is done. So they collect the information, it comes through, you do your inspection, it goes out. And that's important for our part, is you shouldn't have to be thinking about the technology you're using. It should just work. We can tell you about the new features that are available to you. And that's one of the things that we've always prided ourselves on, is you can take a look at a very older version of Home Inspector Pro or older versions of HIP Office, and the current versions, the basics of how to use them have not changed. We don't want you to have to retrain yourself or your guys because we decide to do something. We want you to be able to add new features and new benefits as you go, but the basics are always there. So you're just building on the foundation of what you already know. And then the best system in the world does you no good if you have questions and there's nobody to answer the phone or answer those questions. We do have 24/7 tech support, Monday through Saturday to Sunday, all week long, to answer all the questions via phone, chat, and email. So you have somebody who can answer your questions, as well as we do live training. And now for HIP Office users, we also do full onboarding. So you're getting started with our products, hitting the ground running, where you're not having to guess how things work. We do it, and it's all included as part of the program. So you're not having to spend extra being nickel and dime for every aspect of it. It's just, we want you to be able to use the system to its fullest extent and have all that information available to ACC, so it all works together and it just flows. That's the idea, is you want to remove the friction that you are feeling as part of the process, but especially remove the friction that your customers are feeling. Because the easier that you can make the process for the customer so they're getting the information they need, the more likely that they're going to refer you to their friends and family, because this is a business of networking and a business of connections. You don't want to have to rely 100% on marketing. That is a big aspect of it, but you want to be able to have the word of mouth that says, these guys do a great job. I learned a lot. I know exactly what I was getting, and I was confident in that process. And the combination of ACC and Home Inspector Pro really make that happen.
Yeah, that's awesome, Dan. I was writing down some just notes and just thoughts as you were kind of laying that out with HIP Office. One of the things that I love about HIP, and I know quite a few of you, Dan and Dominic, obviously we're really close. But even, attending some of the trade shows and conferences, you truly do live that. You facilitate the needs of the expert, and that's the home inspectors. And that's always been that kind of marching order for HIP, is like, what do the experts want and need out of the system to operate their business? Let's go do that. And that's why I think, HIP is just a great solution for home inspectors, because that's the keystone of why it was created and how it's still enhanced and developed today. So I really wanted to highlight that point. The other one that I love, for me personally, and I just think about, like, where are we going to be at in 10 years, right? Let alone 5 years, from a software or a home inspector software to communication with customers. In my business, text is becoming more and more, like, email is still king, phones are still there, but SMS and MMS is starting to rise up more and more, as well as chat. But I love the mobile first. I think for me as a consumer and how I do business with other companies, and if I was an owner operator of a home inspection, I'd be really focused on that mobile first. And the fact that multiple inspectors can follow along that home inspector journey with HIP, but the client can follow, I would love that. For me, it's that anxiety of, like, I want to see it. Otherwise, I'm going to get that, like you said, the data dump when the report comes over. And now I'm sitting there with a glass of wine and some ice cream maybe, and just like reading, multiple pages over, where I think if I can follow along in that journey and, almost kind of, be at the hip of the inspector, that's awesome. I think that is just absolutely game changer. And, just one more thing that makes HIP, a great solution.
Well, and that's also a big part of it, is that the inspectors know the customers, they work with them all the time, but they may not always know what the priorities of every customer is, because if you have a husband and wife, for example, they may have different priorities of what issues may be with the house. There's a difference between cosmetic things, or there may be things that they say, this is going to be a problem for mobility or accessibility problems that the inspector may not be aware of. Having that information to be able to see, oh, I need to ask about this before the end of the inspection, instead of getting that big dump at the end, they're able to make those informed questions, and they're more confident and they may see things that the inspector may not know, based on every inspection is different. Everyone's a little bit the same.
Yeah, I know my wife and I, we would definitely have different focus areas. I'd be garage and infrastructure, and she'd be, kitchen and family area. I definitely feel that. The other thing I wanted to call out too was, because I think this aligns with, I've done a few presentations, time is money, and some of those parts have come into this kind of discussion today, which is less about the tech and more about the execution. And you said that, I think what you said was less time head down, more time heads up with your customers and your clients. And I could not, I almost think, Dan, those, if not permanent tattoos, maybe we get temporary tattoos we hand out with that saying, because that is so important to home inspectors driving success in their organization and their business. Is you've got to not be doing the things that don't maximize your time, your value, your reciprocity for referrals and that. Yeah. Thank you for that customer journey to be, an 11 on a scale of 10. And it does matter, right? And so that time back of being hyper efficient with the inspection and with engaging with the client and not having to dabble around tech deficiencies or issues is so important, and HIP knocks it out of the park. And then the last thing I'll say here, kind of that plays off of that is, for new customers signing up with HIP and ACC, customers that are with ACC today and want to make a change and go to HIP, or customers that are with HIP and want to supplement with ACC. You're the experts as the inspector, but you also don't know what you don't know. And the benefit of this partnership is you're getting two very instilled in the industry partners that can help guide that strategy and be those strategic partners for your business. And if you're a new inspector and you're saying, okay, what platform? I have so many choices, not so many, but you have a lot of choices. If you sign up with HIP and ACC, you now have a team that's got experience and knows, the hurdles and the things to do and not to do and the adjustments from day one, where otherwise you even with a good training regimen, there's still going to be growing pains out there. And so think about being able to fall back on a team like ACC and HIP and say, how should I structure this? Or ACC, I need your help to go get this done. I've got to be marketing. I've got to be getting this business off the ground, or I've got to be doing inspections. And your ACC team knows how to get it done versus you getting home, writing a report, maybe, slamming a couple slices of pizza and then going and having to research and do all these changes. It can be done for you. And so I think that partnership is really concrete to, especially newer inspectors looking for a platform or established inspectors looking for a change. You don't come into this relationship blind and behind the ball, right? You have the ACC team and the HIP team that are working behind the scenes on your behalf, that bring all this experience, bring this national perspective, right? From the West Coast to the East Coast up in Canada, and say, these are the things that you should be doing, or here's how we can structure and help really get you to your North Star, if you will, faster than if you were doing it on your own. Even with inspectors that have been in the industry for a lot of time and, are established, there's still massive upside there. And so that's, I think, a great place to end is you have two organizations here that care deeply about the success of their customers and their inspectors. And they're aligned in what matters to those inspectors. I can speak on behalf of the ACC team that I'm privileged to support. They're some of the best people out there. And I can speak on behalf of HIP and Dan himself. You won't find better individuals to partner with and work with and, really help to make sure you're a successful home inspector if you're just starting out. If you've been in the business for 10 years and you're looking for a change, or if you just want to go exploring and experimenting with new ways of operating your inspection business, that the HIP team is really a best-in-class organization, and you can't go wrong there. So if you have any questions for myself or Dan, feel free to reach out to either of us. You can also click the link here or in chat. If you want to ping us, you can. We'll send over our information, and you can reach out to us. You can go to our websites. There's plenty of ways to get a hold of us. But Ryan, am I missing anything else before I end? Outside of handing it over to Dan to see if he's got any last words he wants to instill on the group here.
No. Let's have some closure from Dan.
So thank you, Aaron, and likewise, the ACC team has always been professional, and seeing their insight, it's seeing another side. So it's always very refreshing to see that and hear from inspectors what their experience has been. And I have not heard a bad thing about America's Call Center, other than their promptness. Answering phone calls they're almost too good at it. So what can you do? But we look forward to hearing from you. We also, as part of our process, if you are interested in trying out any of our products, it's homeinspectorpro.com. And you can try out the software as if you used it for free for 30 days. And that includes training, support, onboarding, getting you started, because we want you to hit the ground running and not have to deal with hunting in the dark. That's not our purpose. Our purpose is to get you started and get you educated on how to get started and get you back to work. And same thing with ACC. We can help facilitate that process. We work directly with them and their staff to make sure that the transition to going live with them is as simple and as streamlined as possible. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself or Aaron. My email is dan@homeinspectorpro.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions you got, or we have a dedicated support staff and sales staff that is happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan, to you and the entire HIP team. Brian, thank you for pulling this all together, hosting us, making sure we did all the technical things right to get this recorded for those that couldn't attend. And again, we'll share out this recording for all of you that maybe had to drop earlier, joined late or didn't get to join at all. So you'll have access to it. And again, we thank you all, current customers, for your business. And if you're a future customer, please do reach out. We'd love to have a conversation at the least, and make sure that you're supported and you feel good and confident about choosing some of the best partners in the industry, HIP Office and ACC. Thank you, everybody.
Mm-hmm.